So earlier in the night when I saw that Shams report come through, the breaking news that the Sacramento Kings are open to talks when it comes to potentially trading De'Aaron Fox. I don't know about you, but I immediately checked the PR newswires just to make sure I didn't miss anything. I mean, this is the kind of move that Vlade Divac would have made if he was still running the Kings organization. So I just wanted to make sure that I hadn't missed anything and that Vlade hadn't somehow worked his way or snuck through security and was suddenly running the Sacramento Kings organization again. This is a horrible decision by the Sacramento Kings on so many levels. I'm going to cover all of that, plus 4 possible landing spots for De'Aaron Fox. Welcome to the NBA Rundown. As always, I am Dave DeBaugh. All right, now look, the Sacramento Kings, as we all know, have historically been a mess for a really long time. I mean, one of the most exciting things that the Sacramento Kings organization has actually brought to the NBA over the years is the whole light the beam gimmick. I have to say, watching them actually make the playoffs for the very first time under Mike Brown 2 years ago, I thought, well, maybe the Sacramento Kings had turned the corner. Well, leave it to the Sacramento Kings to not make the playoffs last year, get, a couple handfuls of games into the season this year, and then pull the trigger on Mike Brown and ship him out of town. Rumors had been that De'Aaron Fox was one of the primary reasons that the Sacramento Kings organization decided to part ways with Mike Brown as a head coach. Now, regardless of why they did, over the last 10 games, the Sacramento Kings have actually gone 7 wins, 3 losses. So in other words, they are 7-10 in the last 10 games. They're 24-22 and are moving into playoff contention in the highly competitive Western Conference. The whole idea that they would consider moving De'Aaron Fox before the February 6th trading deadline is absolutely crazy, considering that they do have a strong enough nucleus to actually find their way into the playoffs this year. And who knows what happens with injuries on other teams, what happens with momentum in the association, interim head coach that somehow is motivating the players in a way Mike Brown couldn't. I would say roll the dice on the rest of the season and let's see what happens. Now, De'Aaron Fox's agent is, of course, Rich Paul. And we know how Rich Paul works. We're going to talk about the 4 potential landing spots for De'Aaron Fox, which could legitimately happen between now and February 6th. And of course, if he doesn't get moved before February 6th, then these 4 places certainly become even more likely during the offseason. On a personal note, I have been up in the Bay Area for 20 plus years, which included a stint in Sacramento during the Chris Webber years. And I can tell you that the Sacramento Kings fans absolutely deserve significantly better than what their organization has actually put on the court over the last 20 years. Sure, the last couple years have been a lot better, and one of the reasons for that is De'Aaron Fox. Look, if ever there was a player in a small market who should never ever leave that small market until they're halfway down the backside of Career Mountain, it is De'Aaron Fox. This is a horrible decision by the Sacramento Kings. I want to talk real quickly about how much money De'Aaron Fox actually makes right now. His contract for this year is just under $35 million. His contract for next season is $37 million. Yes, if he doesn't want to be on the team, then yes, at some point next year, around this time, they would be forced to move De'Aaron Fox. If not, they would get nothing back for him. So I understand making a decision during the offseason. I don't understand completely giving up on the season at this point, especially since they've actually turned things around. Now, De'Aaron Fox's stats are really fantastic. He is averaging 25 points a game, 6 assists a game, and 5 rebounds a game. Compare that to Bradley Beal, who's averaging under 17 points a game, 3 assists, and 3 boards a game, and who, by the way, is making $50 million this year, 53 next year, and 57 with a player option, which I'm sure he'll take. I have said it before, and I'm sure I'm going to say it again this year numerous times, but whoever Bradley Beal's agent is a brilliant person. So look, when you compare De'Aaron Fox to the value of De'Aaron Fox to like a Bradley Beal, and I could go down a list of 15 other players, De'Aaron Fox's value is significantly higher than a lot of other players in the association at this point. All right, so 4 potential landing spots for you for De'Aaron Fox, which could happen between now and February 6th. Now, it is complicated, and some of these teams would actually have to get a 3rd or 4th team involved to actually make this happen. But from a player perspective, the place where I would personally love to see a De'Aaron Fox land is with the San Antonio Spurs. Now, I mentioned that Rich Paul is De'Aaron Fox's agent, and whenever there's a big name that is suddenly thrown onto an NBA trading block, you always have to mention the Los Angeles Lakers as a potential landing spot. Biggest issue there is that the Lakers really don't have a lot of really high value pieces to actually give up, and I seriously doubt that the Lakers and the Sacramento Kings would actually end up involved in a trade like this. Then there's De'Aaron Fox's desire possibly to go home to Houston. I personally think the Houston Rockets are so much fun to watch right now, as are the Memphis Grizzlies, that I hate to see either of those teams actually make a move like this, which would most certainly disrupt the chemistry that they have on their team. Look, Dillon Brooks is doing a great job on the defensive side of the fence. He had a really good scoring night a couple nights ago, which is just an added bonus. Amen Thompson is absolutely blowing up before our eyes. And while there are several other assets that the Houston Rockets could use to actually acquire a De'Aaron Fox, they would most likely have to give up a couple of the younger pieces and a Dillon Brooks, which I think, at least right now, makes no sense for the Houston Rockets. And then, of course, there's Jimmy Butler's former team, or soon-to-be former team, the Miami Heat, who have indefinitely suspended the Butler at this point. So those are the 4 potential landing spots for a De'Aaron Fox before February 6th. All 4 of those teams have enough assets and enough trade capital to actually pull something off. I think the Lakers would certainly have to involve a 3rd or 4th team to actually make it happen, but it certainly is a possibility. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on all of this. I think the Sacramento Kings should just do everything they can possibly do to keep De'Aaron Fox in Sacramento, at least through the year. And personally, I think they should do everything they could possibly do to get him to actually re-up with the Sacramento Kings. From what I hear, De'Aaron Fox got a taste of the playoffs, and I think he realizes, along with his agent, that he's never going to have a serious taste of the playoffs if he remains in Sacramento, and maybe that is really what is at stake here. I think it's safe to say that De'Aaron Fox is absolutely done lighting the beam in Sacramento. All right, go ahead and drop in your comments when you have a chance. I'd love to hear from you. For the NBA Rundown, I'm Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day.
slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.